We're back, Bibbs. It's Bibbs-A-Mania Part 2. We're doing this we're going to do this not quickly, but somewhat quickly because we're both really, really tired. I say we just put all these in one video and just do it.
Yep.
Alright, so what we're going to be doing, if you watched the previous video where we did our watch-along of the 1995 Royal Rumble, you'll know that Bibbs and I will be attending WrestleMania. It will be his first. It will be my sixth. So I figured we would do 3 Mania-related lists.
Oh,
top 5.
I forgot to put that.
What the hell, Bibbs? Which one?
We'll call on the fly.
We'll call it on the fly. Okay. So we've got our top 5 Manias, our top 5 Mania matches, our top 5 Mania moments, and then your top 5 wrestling guilty pleasures. Let's do the guilty pleasures one first. Get that out of the way. Number 5 for me is he was German and he liked to dance a lot. That would be Alex Wright.
Oh.
I love Alex Wright. I wish he would come to AIW and be in Charlotte. It would make me so happy. You're not a big Alex Wright guy? He was in the greatest tag team of all time. He was in Boogie Nights. He was Berlin, which was another character that was fucking awesome.
Well, I never said I wasn't an Alex Wright guy. I thought he was a very talented
That's my Alex
guy.
Wright. That's my Alex Wright dance.
WCW, very underrated, definitely. But yeah.
What's your number 5, Bibbs?
Put Val Venus. I don't know.
Choppy your pee-pee! Choppy your pee-pee!
Let's face it, he was just one of those characters I grew up watching during that crazy-ass attitude
He's
era.
one of those where, like, you can't really help but like him.
Yeah.
Just because he had that kind of magnetism, I guess was the word.
Yeah, and let's face it.
Kid
like me was too young to...
You didn't really... You were like me. You didn't really get it till you got older, so it was funny. Number 4 for me is the greatest tag team to ever live. That would be La Resistance. When they would come out and interrupt the national anthem, everyone would boo. I would stand up and applaud. I should not like the characters. They were supposed to be heels. But Rob Conway would go on to greater fame for his Just Look At Me theme, which AIW booked him once simply so that theme could be played. It's the only reason they booked him once. I swear, Biz, if you fall, I'm going to laugh.
I'm going to fall. How many times I have to tell you?
I think you might fall. I don't know.
You want me to fall.
I don't want you to fall. I'm just afraid you're going to fall. I adjusted it so
I'm
you're
just leaning back and forth, like how mankind. Anyway, number 4 for me, and you probably might have them on your list too. Billy and Chuck.
I did. They just missed.
Yeah.
I came real close to putting Billy and Chuck. I also came real close to putting Rockabilly because that character was fucking awesome. But you couldn't do Billy and Chuck now. Just It's the climate we're in. You couldn't do it. It worked so good. Like they full on wanted to like get married and everything. Like they wanted to go full bore with it, and then Vince. I think they got a letter from Glad or a phone call or something.
Actually, glad they were actually in full support.
Really? I did not know that.
The whole gimmick and the whole commitment ceremony until they did that bait and switch.
Oh, and then Glad went nuts.
They chewed them out. Which, by the way, I saw that episode, full segment live. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Was that in Cleveland?
No, that was somewhere else.
Oh, I thought you said live. I thought you remember like watching it on TV.
On TV, yes.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and of course that included one of the most legit, awesome moments afterwards, where Eric Bischoff.
It doesn't matter if it takes 3 years, 3 months, or 3 minutes.
I wasn't gonna do all that.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, but that whole thing was awesome. But yeah, Billy and Chuck.
Number 3 for me is a guy that, if it wasn't for the London terrorist attacks, would have been world heavyweight champion.
I know who you're talking about.
Like, he's a situation of like Daniel Bryan, where if a good guy was saying what he was saying, he would have been the most over good guy in the company, because what he was saying actually made sense. Was Muhammad Hassan. Like if a good guy, if he was presented as a face, he would have been the most over face in the company. But he was presented in the stereotypical, normal. Oh, I'm a foreigner, so I'm a bad guy. So
2005.
yeah, which sucks. But yeah, so number 3 for me was Muhammad Hassan.
I don't know why I put Heidenreich on mine.
But still, this is a legit one of the best teams in all of baseball.
You know what he did to Michael Cole, right?
Okay.
I remember. I saw the episode.
It was so stupid. Like Heidenreich was so stupid that like you're like, this can't be real. But then you realize you're dealing with a fucking madman and Vince McMahon, so you know it is.
And you know the funny thing is,
Do you know what his original gimmick
that's what I
was?
was getting ready to say.
Yep, he was
Supposed to be a frozen Nazi.
He was supposed to be a Nazi. Yeah.
A frozen Nazi.
In 2005, he was going to be a Nazi.
The worst part about it is Paul Heyman was going to be his manager. Now, if you see the problem with that, you know,
For some of you that may not know this, if you've never heard the man talk, Paul Heyman is very Jewish, which that would have been the contrast. But what are you going to do? Now we talked about this when we were just sitting around earlier. The number 2 guilty pleasure for me is 2000 era WCW. I love it. It is such a fucking train wreck. You don't know what's going to happen. 1 week Kevin Nash is a good guy, 1 week he's a bad guy, 1 week he's retired, 1 week he's back, 1 week he's in the NWO, 1 week he's in the Wolfpack. I literally think it's kind of like what Vince McMahon's going through now, where they walk into like, all right, Russo, here you go, here's the script. Fuck it. Let's start all over. I think that was creative meetings at WCW, and then it finally got, Vince, the segment's up next, what do you want? I just fucking do what you were originally going to do. I think that's what WCW was like in 2000.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a train wreck.
Yeah, I had to live through most of that. Shoot. Number 2, I put. Yeah, this is a guy who I initially hated at first because I was young and stupid.
Darren Corbin.
Years ago. No, would you stop doing that? You do that every time
I have to guess. I'm trying to guess.
You suck at it.
I never said I was good at it. I never said I was good at guessing.
No, like I said, I initially hated him for some reason. I don't know why. That was young and stupid. But I put the Rise of Fandango for number 2.
Da, 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 da,
Yeah, like I said, initially I didn't like the gimmick. I don't know why.
I don't think anybody did.
Yeah.
And then WrestleMania 29 happened, which a lot of people don't realize. Remember when he got that concussion like a month after WrestleMania?
Yeah.
He was supposed to be the Intercontinental Champion.
Yep.
He was going to win the Intercontinental title, and then, hey, we got Chet Cheddarfield, so it's okay.
Oh,
I was gonna put Southpaw, but like everybody loves Southpaw, so it's not really a guilty pleasure.
yeah.
All right, and number 1 for me is it's the second goofiest faction that this man's ever been in. It's the second goofiest faction that Stevie Richards has ever been in. My number 1 wrestling guilty pleasure is Right to Censor.
Oh, Jesus.
I loved it. It was fantastic. Stevie Richards should have been the WWF champion. I stand by that to this day. That it would have worked. That gimmick would have worked, especially when they were transitioning from USA to TNN. It could have been like, we need to put on a family-friendly programming. We're going to a family-friendly network. I will fully contend till the day I die, Steven Richards should have been the WWF champion.
Very
I feel like I'm starting with my goatee I have. I feel like I'm starting to look like Reese. Hi, Reese. I don't know if you're going to watch this, but hi.
Probably not. As far as I'm concerned, my number 1 guilty pleasure actually isn't a superstar or a company, it's actually a competition.
NXT. Please let it be NXT.
No, it's not NXT.
Damn it.
It's not even the 2004 Tough Enough. It's the Divas.
Oh, Bibbs. No, your trip to WrestleMania is canceled, Bibbs.
If you do that, I'll fuck it.
Well, I already bought our plane ticket,
Exactly.
so I'm fucked anyway.
No, I mean, let's face it. Once again, a kid, me growing up as a kid, you know, Like I said, I wasn't. Let's face it, I wasn't a smarky smart. Like
What
a lot of
Leonard is
people
trying to
were.
tell you is when we were younger, when women were onto the television, before we knew what good women's wrestling was, we were mainly concerned about boobs.
Yeah, basically.
Boobs. That's what the Diva Search was about, was boobs.
But of course,
Except for when Christy Hemming's butt ate a pie. But
And I was gonna say that was by far my favorite, the 2004.
because that was like Christy Hemme, Candice Michelle, I think.
Well, she was in the casting, but she didn't make it.
Yeah, like Michelle McCool, I think, was in that
McCool,
season.
Those two twins that were on there. Carmela DeCesar, who
No, it wasn't. The Bellas auditioned.
They auditioned in 2006.
Yeah, okay, so I'm
Yeah.
a couple years back. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's terrible, but
Yeah, but
it's another one of those things you have to like.
Yeah,
Just,
and plus my favorite challenge out of all of it was obviously the Diva one. Yeah.
oh, you're like, okay. For any children that are watching this under the age of about 14, please, I'm going to give you 3 seconds to leave the room. What does having a cock in your mouth mean about wrestling?
Bitch.
Bitch. That was a direct quote on national television. Was it were they on U? No, they weren't on USA yet.
Spike.
They were still on Spike because, yeah, that was a direct quote on national television
And
that they were late in bleeping. So they didn't bleep out cock; they bleeped out like mouth or something.
Mouth.
Which I'm like, what purpose?
Well, dog, that one was bad. No, Christy Hemme was the one that stole that one when she said the following words: "Viewer discretion is advised." And I quote, she said, "Carmella, you're a cum-burping gutter slut."
Yeah, I knew there was a reason I liked Christy Hemme.
Yep.
Besides the fact when she managed Lance Hoyt and Jimmy Rake, it was fantastic. All right. So next, what's the one you don't have written down? You have matches, or
I have matches and I have moments.
but you don't have your favorite manias.
That's the one.
Okay, we'll do that one last, so you can kind of formulate your list as we're going. So we'll do mania matches next. Since I went first on the guilty pleasures, you go first on this one.
Okay.
Okay.
Amanda show reference.
Ah!
Alright, well, number 5 for me on the favorite Mania matches. And let's face it, it's hard to narrow these down to 5.
It really is.
There's so many great ones out there. But I'll just pick some of these because I know I like these the most. Number 5 for me, I'm going with John Cena and Shawn Michaels.
Oh,
WrestleMania 23.
good choice.
Even though personally I liked their match on Raw.
The Iron Man match, yeah.
Yeah, but no, their match at Mania 23.
That was, I think,
good.
that was really the first time I think fans started accepting Cena a little, because they knew if he could get in there and go with Shawn, he could go. People still hated the fact he got pushed the way he did, but that you can't deny the fact that when he's in the ring and he wants to produce the way he can, he's as good as Vince and them wanted you to believe he was.
Absolutely.
Number 5 for me is a rematch from Survivor Series 2016. Is at WrestleMania 33.
I know what you're talking about.
Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg. It was, I timed it, I think it was right at like 6 minutes and 15 seconds. It was exactly the way it should have been. The WrestleMania match was like 6 minutes.
I was like, a little after. I thought it was a little under 5.
I think I timed.
I think it was like.
I think I timed from the start of like introductions. Maybe I might.
Yeah, because I timed it.
But it was absolutely perfect. It was exactly the way it should have been. Big move, big move, big move, big move. Neither one of them can work a super. Brock still can if he wants to, but not against Goldberg. Goldberg can never work longer than 5 minutes and be entertaining anyway. But I'm sorry, he couldn't. It was exactly what it should have been. It was the conclusion to their story. It was the conclusion we should have had, and then it set up Brock for his, as many called it, his year-long reign of terror. Which I wanted to put this on my Mania moments list, but I didn't. If we had a list of times where Vince McMahon said the internet knows what they think is going to happen, so fuck them, we're going to change what's going to happen, was at WrestleMania 34 when everyone thought that Roman Reigns was going to beat Brock Lesnar. And then my brother and I, every time Roman got a pin, 1, 2, okay, 1, 2, okay. And then Brock finally pins him when we look at each other and we go, that wasn't supposed to happen. But that's either here or there. I'll talk a little bit more about that because WrestleMania 34 is on my top 5 Manias list. So
I'm sure it is. Okay. Well, since you mentioned Brock Lesnar, Bastards on my number 4 because I put his match with Kurt Angle from Mania 19 on there.
AKA when Brock Lesnar tried to kill himself.
Yeah, and that's actually going to be on my moments. I think
it was a great match. That's more remembered for one spot than as a match as a whole because the match was fantastic.
Yeah, the match was really, really good. And honestly, I was conflicting back and forth to either put that or Jericho and Michaels, but I did not want this list to be Michaels heavy, so I decided to go with that instead.
And the fact that match was as good as it was when Kurt Angle could barely fucking walk.
Right,
And he had neck surgery, Tuesday, I think? He had neck surgery. Just shows what kind of fucking machine that Kurt Angle is.
And if you guys ever saw that documentary, The Mania of WrestleMania, that showed behind the scenes.
They turned it into a book, too.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh, yeah.
The aftermath of it and everything. Especially Brock's state.
Brock had no fucking idea what was going on.
And he was out there cussing and everything, saying, "Get the fuck off me."
And Brock, you know how Brock is.
Yeah.
Number 4 for me features in my opinion, at least of the modern era, are the 2 best in-ring performers that you can have. WrestleMania 20, Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero.
Yes.
Fantastic match. It told a great story, and then it had a normal Eddie Guerrero finish. Boot comes off. Kurt's like, "What the fuck?" Roll up, 1, 2, 3. Exactly what it should have been. 15 minutes, hard hitting, clean, crisp, fantastic. It's exactly what technical wrestling should be.
Indeed. Always loved.
They had such great chemistry.
Exactly.
The SmackDown 6 as a whole had great chemistry together.
My all-time favorite era.
Oh yeah.
Number 3 for me. Well, we're taking it back a couple decades on this one, because this was the match that stole the show in one of the biggest manias of that period.
I've got a feeling I know exactly what this is going to be.
Yep. Randy Savage,
Yep.
Ricky Steamboat, WrestleMania 3. Well, what else can be said that hasn't already been said about this match?
You really don't need to talk about it a whole lot. It's been discussed. Now, there's a group of people who think it's the greatest match of all time. There's a lot of people. There's a group of people who fucking hate it because it was completely rehearsed a week ahead of time.
Exactly.
But
And then there's others that just say it's completely overrated.
But even if it's completely rehearsed, you can still fuck it up in the ring. That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
When you get in the heat of the moment, things can still go wrong. You still have to execute it.
No matter how many times you rehearse it, everything can still go right.
Exactly.
Like that. But yeah, like I said, there's not much that can be said about this. Like I said, you just go on the network or
go find it.
Or if you have any remasters or old VHSs of it, go and watch it and you'll see.
I watch it at least once a month, probably. I could go back and watch WrestleMania 3 just for that.
Mm-hmm.
But number 3 for me, WrestleMania 26, the main event, career versus streak, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. I think this is the vastly superior match of the two between 25 and 26.
That's right, because people, they seem to talk about 25 way too much.
Yeah.
Because I thought 26 was...
For me, especially, the story that it told. Shawn, getting eliminated from the Royal Rumble, then costing The Undertaker at Elimination Chamber so they could have the match. Everybody kind of knew Shawn. This was it for Shawn. And for a guy that missed, 4 years? 5 years? To put on the level of matches that he put on for, the 6 years he was back, and that this was arguably the greatest match he ever had, except maybe the Iron Man match, what was it, 13? 12. 12. I think those are the two highlight matches of Sean's career. But, yeah, I think 26 is far and away the best match Sean ever had.
Yep. Agreed. Number 2 for me is a personal favorite of mine because I watched this WrestleMania live. And of course it's it's from the WrestleMania that people still won't shut the fuck up about.
John Cena in the Miz.
No!
Damn it. Which really wasn't that bad of a match. It really wasn't.
Except for the finish. But I'm going with TLC 2 from WrestleMania 17. And like I said, I watched this live.
You want to talk about an overrated WrestleMania 17?
Yeah,
I didn't say that.
Even though you graded it to
I know. But yeah, that match, that set the stage for every ladder match that's happened since. Those 6 guys were perfect. They had perfect chemistry.
Oh, yeah.
When you talk about the word magic is thrown around way too loosely in professional wrestling. Those guys had magic
there
together.
Was no greater magic.
You couldn't do wrong with those 6 guys. It's a shame that Bubba's an asshole, but it was a good match.
As I say, you're talking about the SmackDown 6. We should really, when it comes to like, a group of guys who have elevated a company or a division, of course, you
they resurrected for that period tag team wrestling.
Yes. Indeed.
Until about 04, they are the reason tag team wrestling was as good as it was.
They really set the standard for tag team wrestling.
The worst thing that ever happened to the WWF tag division was the brand split.
Yeah, definitely.
That was the worst thing that ever happened.
Yeah.
But number 2 for me is a match you talked about earlier. Was at 19, Jericho and Michaels. I believe the best match, and he's had a lot of them, the best match Chris Jericho's ever had. And then in typical Jericho fashion, he's like, Sean, I love you so much. And then, boom,
right in the
Dick Kick City. Props to Z-Man Brian Zane. But yeah, it's such a great match. You can tell how much Jericho loved being in there with Sean, one of these heroes. Just such a fantastic match.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed it was. And as far as my number 1 Mania match goes, like I said, this is also conflicting for me going back and forth on this. But ultimately, I am going with Austin versus Hart from WrestleMania 13. And like I said, this was conflicting between that and Hart and Michaels from Mania 12.
I would agree with you picking what you did, only because that effectively started the Attitude Era. That match started. People can say it was Montreal or all the curtain call or all these other things. It was that fucking match. To me, the most iconic image of the Attitude Era is Steve Austin's face with the blood all over it. Fantastic.
No better iconic shot.
Introduced Ken Shamrock to the WWE or whatever.
And plus, you were talking about telling stories. That match right there told a fantastic.
Double turn.
Yes.
Turned Steve Austin face, turned Bret heel.
Exactly. And
which is great.
Pretty much changed the landscape of that company.
100%.
And which, once again,
if it wasn't for Shawn Michaels being a little bitch, we wouldn't get that match.
Right. Because that was the original.
The original plan was the rematch with Shawn and Bret.
But then Shawn lost his smile. But at least we got that match instead.
But number one for me is WrestleMania 28, the end of an era Hell in a Cell match. To me, it's the greatest cell match that's ever happened. It's one of the greatest storytelling moments in the history of WWE. You've got what is the last 3 remaining vestiges of the Attitude Era on the stage at the end of that match, all with their arms around each other. You can tell how much they respect each other. And before that, the streak ended when Shawn hits that super kick and Hunter hits that pedigree. That's the first time I can guarantee you anyone thought, "Oh fuck, the streak's over."
Oh yeah,
that was the first time you actually thought the streak was over.
Yeah, I remember me and my buddy Jonathan watching that, and Yeah, when he hit that super kick, you know what I mean?
And then Shawn's reaction, he's like sitting in the corner.
Yeah, the way Shawn reacted to that was just...
Shawn's one of the greatest sellers, you know, facially, physically, that there's ever been. Okay, so now we're going to move on to your top 5 Mania moments of all time. Now, these could be matches, these could be results of matches. They don't like the match itself could have sucked, but the moment it could have redeemed it, I guess. Number 5 for me was at WrestleMania 30 in the main event with Daniel Bryan winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
That's funny, I have that as an honorable mention.
It's a guy that nobody ever thought would be in the WWE, let alone in that position. Although to this day, I will contend that was supposed to be CM Punk. I think that storyline was intended for Punk. Punk leaves, it opens the door for Daniel Bryan and the Yes Movement. And then the Vit for me, I cry at the dumbest stuff. Like, it doesn't take much to get me to cry. The visual of Connor the Crusher and Daniel Bryan at the end of WrestleMania, Connor hugging Daniel, like just not wanting to let go. And the fact, something else that adds to this for me is Daniel Bryan a week later, or less than a week later, gets married to Brie Bella. They get back from their honeymoon. Daniel's dad dies. Then 2 days later, Connor dies. And that just adds to the whole thing for me. That's why it's in my top 5.
Number 5 for me, this involves an entrance, more saying. And that is Shawn Michaels' entrance at WrestleMania 12.
Ooh.
Honestly, I fucking love that entrance.
Have you ever seen the video of Vince
Yes,
Vince
I
doing
did.
it in the
I've
afternoon?
seen it.
Because
Yes.
Vince said, "I'm not going to make you do this till I do it."
Yeah.
He said, according to Pat Patterson, Vince's exact quote is, "If someone's going to die, it's going to be me." That was Vince's statement.
Well, he's still here, motherfucker.
Yes.
But yeah, I just loved that entrance. Just
Oh,
the
it was
visual
fantastic.
of Shawn just, it's almost like he was gliding down from
That's all.
heaven,
Well, see,
basically.
that's where I thought you were going with it. Was the one at 25, where he descended from the heavens.
Well, yeah, that too.
That's where I thought you were going. That almost made my list.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, this one, like, he literally looked like an angel.
Yeah,
literally
exactly.
descending.
I get what you. Yeah.
And like he was like coming out here.
It would have fit better when after he had come back. But you know he was so fucked up at that point.
And plus this was in his prime,
Yeah.
his peak. So and it was appropriate that he used it at that Mania.
The next one is this gentleman is certainly almost completely 100% hands off in regards to discussions about the WWE anymore, which is really sad because my number 4 moment is the main event of WrestleMania 20 when Chris Benoit wins the World Heavyweight Championship. That's not actually the moment I'm talking about, though. The moment I'm talking about is when Benoit turns around and Eddie's standing there in the ring holding the WWE Championship. Another 2 guys that never, in the old mindset, never should have been there. They were told they were vanilla midgets by WCW. Kevin Nash, Kevin Sullivan. Nobody believed them. Eddie had struggled through so much to get to where he was, and then see them embracing with those championships in the ring is, as a wrestling fan, I don't know how that doesn't make you feel something. I don't get it.
Well, it's funny. That was on my number 4 as well.
Hey, we match.
Yeah, but
It's really like,
it was an iconic.
see,
moment,
for me,
you know.
I can separate Chris Benoit the person to Chris Benoit the performer. I still love the performer, Chris Benoit.
Same.
I put it the same way Paul Heyman did. He said, as a performer, one of the best I've ever seen, top 5 all time. As a human being, he said, fucking, because there were 3 people in that house, only one had the choice to die. So, as regards to the person, Chris Benoit, fucking. As in terms of the in-ring, one of the top 5 I've ever seen.
Yep.
Fantastic.
I agree too. Because, like I said, it's a shame because of what happened that this moment came.
One moment in his life is a pretty horrific moment. One moment in his life, he erased everything he ever did.
Exactly.
Which is sad, but hey, it was his decision.
But yeah.
Number 3 for me is since WrestleMania 30, I've only missed one WrestleMania. This is the one that I missed, and to me, it's the biggest return pop I've ever heard in my life.
I know what you're talking about.
The Hardys returning at WrestleMania 33 in Orlando.
Yep.
Everybody knew it was coming. They knew when New Day came out and said it was a fatal 4-way. You knew what was coming, and it's still the biggest pop I've ever heard. Bigger than Brock Lesnar coming back, bigger than any of Cena's returns, bigger than Triple H's at Madison Square Garden. People say, oh, because it was 70,000 people. To get that many people yelling and screaming because two 40-year-old dudes have decided to come back. The only thing that ruined it was Michael Cole yelling, "Things are broken."
The things are about to
Be broke. Yeah, fuck you, Michael Cole. You were only cool. You were only cool when you were in the coal mine. Damn it. Don't shake your head at me, Bibbs.
just as annoying.
The coal mine was fucking awesome.
Don't judge. Number 3 for me, well, we were talking about emotional moments. This one is right up there, because what's more emotional than a reunion? And the reunion I'm referring to is the one between Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth from WrestleMania 7 after the career-ending match between Savage and the Warrior.
Ending.
Yeah. Although I don't know why they could have just called it a retirement match. That
They
sounded a
wanted
lot
to be
better.
fancy.
I know.
But
And
yeah,
plus it was the early.
This is another one that people could see coming a mile away, but it's still
It was
the
still
visual of Savage getting beat up by Sherry, Liz coming in, who had never been physical in a professional wrestling ring before, beating the ever-living shit out of Sherry Martel.
right.
Just the optics of it was, I agree, fantastic.
It literally came like it's like a visual from a movie, where, like I said, the guy who was once the hero, who's been vilified, has been completely turned on by, the person that pretty much brainwashed him and whatever. And then the woman that was betrayed just couldn't stand to see her fallen man being hurt anymore, so she just came there to the rescue, saved him, and then brought him back.
I'm about to fuck shit up.
Exactly. And just the visual of the crowd.
Yes.
The emotion.
Like that little boy in the
little boy with the
raincoat
glasses,
crying.
and even the girl in the blue dress with the big hair wiping the tears. Fantastic.
Elizabeth.
And even
Elizabeth.
and even Gorilla Monsoon selling it on commentary. That I think that
My God.
that put the ultimate ribbon on that
Yeah,
moment
100%.
there. So yeah, that's why I love that.
Number 2 is a moment from the most recent WrestleMania. It is another World Championship win, and that would be Kofi Kingston finally winning the WWE Championship. Like, people can say it's storyline and whatever, but what got me on this was to see the genuine emotion that Xavier Woods and Big E had.
Oh yes.
Both guys who want, I said this in my Mania recap video, both guys that want to be in the same position Kofi was in are more emotional and more excited that another person won the championship than they would be. And then to tie it all together with his kids coming in the ring.
Oh.
I swear to God, I thought the belt was going to be a New Day belt. I swear to, the only thing that kept this from being almost number 1 for me was the fact that it was spoiled about 5 to 6 minutes early on WWE Shop. You know that shirt they had?
Yep.
It was put up 5 minutes before the match was over.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But just like, and the whole audience was rooting for Kofi.
Yeah,
I loved it. Daniel Bryan's one of my top 10 favorite wrestlers of all time. I was rooting for Kofi.
Yeah.
It was. I agree with what CM Punk said, though. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. He deserved it. It should have happened 10 years ago.
Exactly.
He should have beat Orton during that feud they had 10 years ago.
Yeah, but then a certain stupid moment happened.
Stupid.
But yeah, and I can even tell you, I watched this at home, you know, I was almost in near tears.
Oh, I was
myself,
too. Like, I was
you know,
so.
just seeing
Well,
that.
and then, like, the crowd was still on an emotional high from the Iconics winning the match before. And then I think that just kind of carried over to when Kofi, even, like, I wanted Kofi to win. I never thought they were going to let Kofi win.
Exactly.
Ever.
You know, but yeah, definitely a truly incredible moment there. And not just for Kofi, but I also feel, you know, that people in the African American
100%.
you know,
Little kids who want to be professional wrestlers, like, I've never seen an African American WWE champion. You have now.
exactly.
100%.
And I really hope this.
Same kind, and this people are going to call me stupid for saying it's the same kind of thing as when Barack Obama got elected president. It's a little black kid. You can't look at any little kid, whether they be white, black, Asian, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. You can't look at them and say, you can't do this.
Exactly.
Like, they've seen an African American president. They've seen a woman, you know, be the major nominee for president. In sports, they've seen women completely dominate their fields. In professional wrestling, they've now seen Kofi Kingston as the WWE champion.
And I think ultimately that was mainly the main message.
100%, yes.
Is that pretty much saying that no matter what the color of your skin is, or no matter where you come from, you can pretty much do anything you want.
Exactly.
You put your mind to.
100%.
You know, and I think WWE did an excellent job.
Yeah,
with
the best
that.
storytelling they've done in 5 years, probably.
Yeah. All right. Well, number 2 for me, we're taking it back. Well, the last 2 entrances are actually from Mania 17. And the second one I have is Edge spearing Jeff Hardy
Yes.
from the ladder to the floor.
I remember somebody asked Edge once, they're like, did you guys rehearse that? He goes, you think we were going to do that more than once?
Yeah,
He's like, I didn't want to do it once, let alone more than once.
Can you blame him?
No, absolutely not.
But yes,
But,
obviously one of the most iconic
one of the most
spots.
enduring images of the Attitude Era.
Yes, 100%. And which has been seen in every Edge hype package, you know, all the way up into his retirement. You know, was that moment of him, you know, from on that 20-foot ladder and just coming down with that epic spear, with light bulbs flashing.
How Jeff Hardy wasn't crippled after that, I'm never going to understand that.
Yeah, the fact that Jeff Hardy has taken so much abuse over the years and is still standing, you know, is amazing.
Number 1 for me, anybody that knows me knows that this guy that's involved in this is probably one of my top 3 favorite wrestlers of all time. It was from the first WrestleMania I attended. It was WrestleMania 30. It was Brock Lesnar ending The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. Nobody ever thought it was going to happen. And when it did happen, everybody thought, that was a fuck up. That referee's fired. He'll never work again. Nobody believed it until the 21-1 graphic popped up.
Wasn't that Mike Chioda who was the referee?
No, it was a young guy.
Oh.
It was a young guy. And if you believe some of the people that have talked about this, they say he didn't know what the finish was. He was told, no matter what, if somebody doesn't kick out, count 3. That's all he was told. And which he had to be like, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. But yeah, to me, because it's something nobody ever thought they were going to see. It's just the shock value of it, the fact that they didn't ring the bell, or they rang the bell, they didn't make the announcement for like 2 minutes after the match was over. Just added to the drama, and I will always agree with what Vince McMahon said about this. It was the right guy at the right place at the right time. People can disagree, but who other than Brock Lesnar at that moment in time was going to end the streak?
Before I go to my number 1, I'll put some honorable mentions down here. Speaking of Undertaker, one of my honorable mentions is him hanging the boss.
Hanging Boss Man.
At WrestleMania.
The most forgotten Hell in a Cell match to ever exist.
Yeah, and that was pretty much the only memorable part of that match. Second honorable mention is Linda kicking Vince in the dick.
Dick kick City, Vince.
And your number 5, Daniel Bryan winning the title at WrestleMania. And the last honorable mention is Edge spearing Mick Foley through the table at Mania 22.
Ooh, I'm in frame. I'm going to leave this way so I can still be in frame.
Alright, as far as my number 1 goes, And you all are going to hate me for picking this one. But it is Austin and McMahon joining forces.
If the Bret Austin match marked the beginning of the Attitude Era, this marked the end of the Attitude Era. It was something like
Always had conflict.
the sheer shock value of seeing Steve Austin not only accept help from Vince McMahon, but shake his hand. I don't know if you've ever known this. Did you know Austin had the right to call an audible in the ring if he wanted?
Yeah, I've heard him say
If
that a couple
Austin
times.
was in the ring and he thought this isn't going to fucking work, he could have stunned Vince and just walked away, and who knows how different shit would have went.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, once again, I remember watching this live at home. You know, just obviously it was shocked just like everyone else. You know, seeing these men who have been spending the last 2-3 years, you know, beating each other up, screwing each other, and that. Well, not
Austin
that,
stuck an enema up Vince McMahon's butthole.
Okay. But yeah, man, to see them joining forces, shaking hands, and then forming, and then going on to do the whole 2-man power trip thing. With
I love the Triple H thing with Austin. I fucking love it.
I know, and like I said, you know, people can say what they want about his heel run, but you can't deny that there was a lot of entertaining moments.
The
that came out
moment,
of there.
the moment the moment itself was iconic.
Yeah.
The run itself was a mixed bag. By far, the highlight of his heel run was him singing "I Am the Champion."
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to go to top 5 WrestleManias of all time. Number 5 for me was WrestleMania 30. Well, it was WrestleMania 34. I'm going to preface this by saying this is all this has been not what we think it's our personal feelings on what our favorites were. To say that WrestleMania 17 not in my top 5. So, but yeah, number 5 for me was WrestleMania 34.
Yes. How'd you know?
Number 5 for me, I will have to say WrestleMania 20.
Good choice. That's in my top 5. But yeah, just like Rock and Sock Connection versus Evolution, Goldberg, Lesnar for what it was, the 2 title matches,
Yeah.
the undercard was great. 20 I think gets a bad rap.
Yeah, and definitely one of the more underrated matches on that show was Jericho and Christian.
Oh yes, with the Trish heel turn.
Yeah.
Good choice. Number 5 for me, WrestleMania 19 in Seattle. The Steve Austin and The Rock's last match. Steve Austin's last match of his career. Lesnar Angle. Has the title split yet? Yes.
Yes.
What was the World Heavyweight title match? Was that Booker and...
Booker T and Triple H.
to me, that's the only downside of 19. Everything else was really good. I would be less harsh on Triple H and Booker T if it hadn't taken Triple H 17 fucking seconds to cover Booker T. That's the only downside to me of 19.
Number 4 for me, I would have to go with
Oh, don't worry. Boy, it helps them too enter
WrestleMania 14.
14, good choice. Pete Rose getting tombstoned by Kane. Kane and The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and Steve Austin with Mike Tyson. The 3 biggest moment. Was that Triple H and Rock for the IC title?
No, Shamrock and Rock.
Shamrock and Rock.
No, Triple H, he took on Owen Hart.
Owen Hart, yes.
With China being handcuffed to Sergeant
Yes.
Slaughter.
But yeah, great card.
Yeah.
The coronation of Steve Austin,
Yep, and
which almost didn't happen because Shawn Michaels was a douchebag.
Yep, and had that happened, then he would have met Undertaker in his taped fists.
Yes.
But yes, WrestleMania 14, definitely one of my favorites. Because I also remember renting it, back when renting was a thing.
Renting was a
I
thing, yes.
remember renting it like a bunch of times from Blockbuster, and just loving the show.
We're not Blockbuster, we are Blockblister. But
Ram Man the show reference.
number 3 for me is WrestleMania 10.
Nice.
The ladder match. Really, what gets it this high for me is Brett and Owen and then the ladder match. Those are the two biggest things for me. That's why I've got 10 as number 3.
3 for me. Well, this is actually a pretty funny coincidence. It's WrestleMania 3.
Huh.
You know,
Probably the most iconic in terms of visual moments was Hogan slamming Andre, even though he had done it before. Andre was, probably 100 pounds heavier. Hogan wasn't as young as he was. But yeah, overall, WrestleMania 3, not the best WrestleMania, but that moment elevates it so much that you don't really need a whole lot else. Number 2 for me is WrestleMania 20. We talked about 20 already. Yeah, fantastic.
And number 2 for me, and this will be a shock that I'm putting this at number 2, because I know a lot of y'all expect this to be number 1, but it's not going to be number 1 because it's always number 1 on everyone's fucking list, and I'm tired of it. But yes, WrestleMania 17.
Bibbs is taking a fucking stand, man.
Yes, WrestleMania 17 is number 2 in my list.
The most overhyped pay-per-view in the history of professional wrestling.
But like I said, then again, like I said, it holds a special place in my heart because I watched this live. And honestly, it's a great card, from top to bottom. Even though
Was it DDP? Was that DDP Edge? Not Edge. DDP Christian for the
you were
European
talking
title.
about 18.
Am I talking about 18?
Yes, you
Oh,
are.
because DDP wasn't there yet.
Yeah, but like I said, just some of the matches on there. Like I said, you had Regal, Jericho, Angle, Benoit. The hardcore match. Which, fun fact about that, Raven was about like this close from cutting the feed.
Yeah.
From the entire pay-per-view when he was in that golf cart, whatever. During that hardcore match. Luckily,
That would have been kind of funny.
yeah.
Just to see the coronary Vince McMahon would have had.
Yeah, and what else on there? Like I said, the TLC match, awesome. Triple H and Taker.
The forgotten Triple H Taker WrestleMania.
Yeah, which people seem to always overlook.
Because it wasn't very good.
I know. But
Biker Taker wasn't very good.
don't start this shit again. So sick and tired of people talking.
For reference, the best Undertaker was Evil Undertaker.
Because he's a heel concert.
No, it's because that was the best. That was the best version of the Undertaker.
I know.
Okay, so
But yeah, like I said, that was.
number 1 for me is WrestleMania 31. The
Very
cash in
solid
at the end of
WrestleMania.
the night. Daniel Bryan winning the Intercontinental title. My book just fell. Luckily, I'm done with my list. But Daniel Bryan opening the show, winning the ladder match, the greatest RKO in the history of RKOs. And then we have Bray Wyatt and the Undertaker. Sting's only WrestleMania match.
Yep.
Which, listen up, fuckers. The old school philosophy is if you think you're having your last match, you lose. Sting thought that was his last match. That's why he lost. But then you end the night with the first and probably the only cash-in the history of WrestleMania main events. Because there would have been a literal fucking riot if Roman Reigns had beat Brock Lesnar. Like, people would have gotten fucked up.
Yep.
But yeah, that's 31, I think, is the most complete and best WrestleMania there's ever been.
Yeah, no argument there. I personally love that WrestleMania myself. But number 1 for me, and you stole this from me and we talked about it already, it's WrestleMania 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I put this at number 1 because like I said, people always love to, like I said, people just always love to put 17 over everything, but
Because it's the cliche thing to do.
Yeah, but I honestly think that Mania 19 was right on par with 17.
I have to agree.
Yeah,
I
because
think the reason everybody always puts 17 is 2 reasons. TLC and the heel turn at the end.
Exactly.
Like, I think if the heel turn doesn't happen, 17 isn't nearly as high on people's lists.
Yeah, but obviously.
But that's just me.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd say that 19 is definitely on par with this because and plus you really had that ultimate gap between the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression era.
You could tell, 19 was the beginning of Ruthless Aggression, 17 was the end of the Attitude Era.
Yeah, and honestly, that's why really truly think that a lot of people always like to say that, that Austin The Rock Part 2 was the end of the Attitude Era. In my personal opinion, I say Rock Austin 3 at Mania 19. That right there was the ultimate end of the Attitude Era,
Agreed.
in my opinion. But everything else on that card, was so fun to watch. Like the Cruiserweight title match, I
so
thought was
good.
really good.
Let's not forget about the best Undertaker match of all time. Undertaker versus Big Show and A-Train, where they had to take out his partner Nathan Jones because he was so fucking terrible that he couldn't be trusted in the ring with 3 of the safest workers in the company. Oh, I should have put Nathan Jones on. I love fucking Nathan Jones. He was garbage, but I fucking loved it. Those promos were great. Paige Vanson, one promo all time. But yeah, that's our list. We'll be putting some more Mania related stuff up as we get it.
I got one for a future list. We need to put the top 5. No, we should do a top 10 underrated WrestleManias.
Good, and then do a top 5 overrated WrestleManias. Boom. We'll do that as we get closer. But we're both really tired. Bibbs has been up since, I assume,
since 4 after 4.
4:15. I didn't get back till midnight last night, and I was up at 6:30. So we're both really tired. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate it. That's Bibbs. I'm me. We're gonna go to bed. Night.
Peace and love.